Hello everyone, welcome to our first episode of Come and See, a show presented to you by the youth and the servants of St.Moses Coptic Orthodox Church of Washington, D.C., located in Ashburn, Virginia. This show is all about relatable subjects and topics between the servants and the youth of the church. So please come and see what we're talking about today. Our first topic will be how to stay engaged in the church. I am your host, Miriam Nagy. And we have with us today Megid Saleh and Merna Nagy. Both of them are servants with us in the church, and they will talk about their experiences as servants, as adults that grew up here. And Megid will talk a little bit about his experiences as a parent and how to keep his kids engaged in the church. So how are you guys today?
Good, how are you?
How are you?
Good, thank you. So my first question to you, as adults who grew up here, how did you stay engaged in the church, especially at the critical age of being a teenager and a young adult? So let's start with Megid, please.
I guess moving to the U.S. back in 1987, I believe, or 88, the church became not just a place of worship, but it became a place of family, social activity, a place that we can go to for to meet people and to be exposed to things, especially coming from Egypt. But my parents were very committed to attending church every Sunday. And no matter whether the weather was rain or snow, we were there every Sunday. But growing up, there was a point in my life where the older I got, the more the church became a social activity more than a place of worship. Mm-hmm. And I think we all go through this phase. Once I started driving, it became even worse. I started to not go to church at all. Mm-hmm. I found out there was other things to do besides church. And at that point, the church just became a social activity. But my parents always insisted on me going to church every Sunday, no matter what the reason is. The church became, to me, a place where I can go to also have a social life. But once I started driving, that wasn't the case anymore.
Okay.
But definitely my parents were the main point of why I stayed engaged in the church.
Mm-hmm. Perfect. So Myrna, what about you? What kept you engaged in the church?
Similar to Megid, my parents were also regularly attending church. We were forced to go every Sunday. But my parents didn't just attend church. My mom was also very involved in the church. So she would also, if she volunteered, she would take me with her. But attending church on a regular basis, it almost felt obligatory rather than a choice. When you're a kid, you don't have a choice. You have to go to church. Mm-hmm. Your parents are not going to leave you home alone, and you have to go. The older you get, the more you start to realize that you don't have a choice, and the more you rebel against going to church. So when I first started driving, of course I didn't want to go anymore. I chose to hang out with my friends. Even the church friends that I had, we all started driving, so we didn't have to meet at church. Mm-hmm. We could meet outside. So even if it was similar, like a social activity, we didn't have to meet at church. We could go to the movies instead. Oh, do you want to go to Friday night activity? No, let's go watch a movie instead.
Okay.
And so even though I had friends in church, we still went outside of church to have that social interaction.
So both of you have touched on a really great point, and I think most of our youth here have gone through, which is getting to an age where you can drive, you have your freedom, and you no longer go to church for a while. So tell me, what brought you back? You both stated that you didn't go as regularly at one point in your life. What brought you back to the church? What kept you engaged until now?
I can start. I think the older you get, you start to realize that you need the church more as a place of comfort than just a social place to go to. You go through tribulations and trials in your life where you have to rely on the church to help you go through it. And that's what happened to me. I lost both my parents, at a young age. And I think that was a big factor of me starting to attend church more often and to be more involved in the church. But it got even more to me clear that I need to be more involved once I got married. I was, the opportunity of me to serve and to be involved in the church came knocking on my door, to be honest. I wasn't looking to be a servant, or I wasn't looking to be involved at all, but it was an opportunity for me that God made clear at one point in my life. Serving at a small church when I first moved here to Virginia, they were looking for people to help with Sunday school. I was walking by and kind of like, yeah, here we go, this guy is gonna serve.
Okay.
And I was like, okay, I'll give it a try, and I started serving. I kind of took my experience growing up, the good and the bad, and applying it or relating it more to the youth, and speaking from the heart, to be honest. And knowing what the youth go through nowadays, I can probably relate to it. So that's a big factor, is that the older you get, you realize, you can have a better impact on the youth than, just sitting in the back and watching.
Absolutely. Myrna, what about you?
So, also similar. I didn't choose to serve in the church. I was chosen. And at first I didn't want to do it. As I said earlier, when I first started driving, I didn't really attend church on a regular basis. I did meet this priest who had related to me more on a personal level as well as a spiritual level, but he really connected with me on a personal level, where whenever we talked, even when I would confess, he's currently my father of confession, it never felt like he was trying to teach me something, or you're doing this bad, you're doing this good, which is how I had previously felt. I felt very uncomfortable in church. No, he would talk to me as if we were two people having a conversation over breakfast, So it felt very comfortable, and that's that's the approach that I took with Sunday school as well. So when I was chosen to do it, I didn't want to do it. It's a huge responsibility, one that I really didn't think I was ready for. But when I looked back at my relationship with this particular priest, it kind of helped put things in a little bit of perspective for me. I had just probably finished college when I started serving, or I was in college. So I had just recently graduated from high school. We kind of had similar experiences. And I feel like I'm still kind of mentally in high school. So when they come to me with their problems, I feel like, oh yeah, I've definitely been there. Like, yeah, I can help you with this.
Absolutely, it helps you relate.
Yeah, it helps me relate to them. And so when we talk, I'm talking to my high school friends. Oh, you have an issue with this? Yeah, I'll give you advice. You give me advice. I learn from them as much as I hope they learn from me. But that's kind of why I started going back to church and serving in the church.
Okay.
It's been quite an experience. I really enjoy it.
So what I love about both your stories is you didn't just go back to the church after you had stopped for a while. You actually took it a step further, and you started participating and volunteering and serving in the church. So you're literally taking your experiences and maybe some of the mistakes that you have made in the past and kind of teaching the youth now to not follow in some of the footsteps and follow in different ones and so on. So that's what I really love about your stories. So now that we have heard from two servants, I would love to hear a little bit from the youth that we have at the church. Welcome back to Come and See. We have Amgad Mitri with us today and Marlene Agib. They are both currently in high school, and they are servants with us in the church. So what grade are you in, Amgad?
I'm in 10th grade.
And what about you, Marlene?
Same, 10th grade.
Okay, perfect. So we were talking about being engaged in the church. I want to hear your views on how you stayed engaged in the church and why you're currently serving. Amgad, why don't we start with you?
Well, how I engaged comes back from my childhood and going into my teenage years. As a child, of course, I had to come with my parents to church always, and my mom was always at church serving in the kitchen, volunteering for things, so I was always with her. And I actually did like it when I started serving with my teacher as like just to help passing things out or something. And I loved my teacher. He was really funny, really encouraging, really motivating. And when I was with him, I felt like he's like a really good, sort of like a father to me.
Okay.
And what motivated me to stay into the church was I loved serving, and maybe that's my talent, I'm not sure. But the church was always motivating me, giving me opportunities that maybe I didn't think I would have. Like, first opportunity I had was coming to America. That's a great opportunity God has given me, and giving us a church right next to us that is giving us many opportunities and many things that I never thought I would have.
Okay. What about you, Marlene? How did you stay, or why did you stay engaged in?
Well, very similar to Amgad. When I first started coming to church, it was mostly just my parents telling me, and just like I was being forced. And then as I started going more and more, and I started helping out, just like Amgad, our teacher, just simple things, it made me kind of grow this passion for serving in the church with the kids and everything. And I started to love it.
Okay, so I know you both came fairly young. How old were you when you started?
I was 8.
Okay, and what about you?
I was about 8.
Okay, perfect. So you were both fairly young when you started coming to St. Moses. I just kind of want to hear specific experiences. So Amgad, you touched on a really great point, opportunities. What kind of opportunities do you feel that the church has given you to keep you engaged? Let's not talk about service yet, but to stay engaged, especially now that you're at an age where you're starting to drive and so on. Do you feel like you will continue serving?
Well, the opportunities that the church gave me was in Egypt. I wasn't allowed to go inside the altar and serve there, but when I came here, the church actually got me inside the altar, and then I started singing into the mic. They put responsibilities for me, like fill up the candle, do this, do that, do the mishara in the liturgy, do things that in Egypt I was just standing there like other kids.
Okay. And Marlene?
Well, I had a little bit of a different job because I can't be a deaconess or anything. But the church had a lot of activities. So we were at church twice, maybe 3 times a week for hymns and praise and the liturgy on Sundays. And so I would always go and we'd participate in like praise and learning new hymns to be sung during the liturgy. And I also helped with communion with the kids in the liturgy.
So let me take it from a different perspective. Do you have friends outside of church?
Yes.
Okay. Do you ever feel that they are asking you to hang out with them and so on, and that may take you away from the church a little bit?
Well, if I start driving, I need to take advantage of that freedom that is given to me by coming closer to the church and not be driven away. Yes, I can stay with the church and be with my friends, like going out with my friends and all that. But I need to keep what's for the church and what's for my personal life, for my social activities and all that. But I still need to be with the church.
So that's a perfect point that I really wanted to actually get to. When you do start driving, when you have that freedom of going to different places, your parents are no longer going to tell you to go to church. You don't have to do it anymore. What will keep you coming? When you have those friends that tell you, okay, it's Saturday night, let's go out. When you have your friends that tell you it's Sunday morning, let's go have lunch at the mall. What will keep you coming to the church?
My responsibilities.
Okay.
Like, I think I have most responsibilities with the kids, serving with the kids, helping them, and I'm not sure that anyone can have. I'm not sure that anyone could take my place because the kids are comfortable with me, and if I have to let them go, then that's a huge responsibility I would keep on the church, and they wouldn't have someone to replace me since the kids are comfortable with the teacher that they have.
Okay. Marlene, what will keep you coming?
I think what would keep me coming is the love for coming to church and the passion I have for serving, especially the kids, and just the love for the church. I'm just so used to it, so I want to keep them.
That's perfect. What advice can you give our young youth, how can they stay engaged to the church?
Well, to stay engaged to the church, they have to find something that they like.
Okay.
If they don't like it, they won't go near it. So, for example, if you like praising, go ahead and praise like the tasbih at church. If you don't like it, find something that is interesting to you. The activities, Friday night, Sunday night, anything that you like, the liturgy, if you like it, and what language you like it in. Arabic, English, Coptic. And, our church provides a variety of languages and days, like Saturdays Arabic, Sundays English. So find what you are comfortable with, and then that's how you stay engaged.
Okay. What advice do you give them?
I would say to manage your time wisely, because I think the problem with most youth nowadays is that they focus and they need to a lot on their schoolwork, and they put God sometimes second or third on the list above schoolwork and like friends and stuff. So I would say to split it in half and manage your time wisely so that you have time to go to church and this at the same time be able to get all of your studies done.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for your insights on the subject. We loved having you here, and we love hearing from our youth, obviously, about their experiences and what kept them in the church. And we will see you again and come and see in a different episode. Thank you.